program is rated GE. It is suitable for all audiences.
People's Parliament is brought to you by Network for Active Citizens and Dreamtown.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being part of NTV People's Parliament. We are coming to you from Chisasi at the headquarters of Network for Active Citizens. And we are here in partnership with Network for Active Citizens as well as other stakeholders. We are here to discuss matters climate change. But why are we here? A number of stakeholders are here, and the issues that have been raised range from flooding, emissions of gases, but also some of the policies that have been implemented over the years by the different stakeholders, some of the acts that have been put in place by maybe NEMA, maybe KCCA, maybe the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, as well as the Ministry of Health, but they have not been put in place and practiced. So we are here to understand what can we do together as the community, as stakeholders, to ensure that we have a sustainable and resilient climate change action put in place together. The youth are here in the house today. They have brilliant ideas and they will be sharing with you. Those that are watching from home, this is NTV People's Parliament. At this particular moment, I would like to invite a honorable member to come to the floor of the August House and give us opening remarks and officially welcome us here.
My name is Balungi Miria. I work as the program officer for advocacy. Today, we bring a conversation that is very timely for the situation that has been happening in Kampala for quite some time. It's not that we are waking up to the cause today, but these are conversations we have been having in every space we have been working in. We would want to thank our partners, Dreamtown, and also other change makers that have been in this journey of ensuring that our communities and Kampala at large is climate resilient. So my job is simple here, is to welcome you to this space, this beautiful space. As you deliberate on this very pertinent issue that is affecting each one of us, we want to open up conversations in your homes, on the streets, so that this issue will come to a conclusion and also we find solutions to the effects of climate change. Madam Speaker, I do not want to take a lot of time because the honorables have issues that really, yes, to deliberate. So I want to welcome you, feel at home, and in this fight, I know we shall win. I submit.
I'd also want to invite another honorable member, that is Honorable Helen Nakasujat, also come to the floor of the August House and tell us, what does Kampala Climate Change Action Strategy mean?
I've been given a simple task to take us through the strategy, what it is about the strategy as NAC and as Kampala. Now, I'm just imagining, let us imagine a scenario, waking up when you're just sleeping in the middle of the rising waters because of the floods. Your belongings are being swept away. Your livelihood is being destroyed. And basically, your safety about tomorrow is not certain. That's what we're talking about. Such stories are not far from here. In some communities in Kampala, this is an everyday thing. Ladies and gentlemen, it is such an honor to stand in front of you as part of the People's Parliament, where the voices of the young people meet leadership to discuss and shape the future of our country. We would like to appreciate Dreamtown, the people that have moved with us in this journey since 2019. We've been doing everything that we can to support the ghetto communities become resilient to the effects of climate change. But we as well appreciate NTV for supporting us to bring this noble cause onto the national stage so that people near and far can hear this. We have all heard what climate change has done. The disrupted livelihoods, infrastructure damaged, etc. But amidst all this, the key policy that is governing us when it comes to climate action is outdated. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the Kampala Climate Change Action Strategy 2016. Yes, 2016, that's how old it is. We're talking about a strategy that was designed long time ago when the current climate changes were not reflected. But now, we're here to request our duty bearers to prioritize for the reviewing of that strategy. Let the strategy reflect the day-to-day experiences of climate change issues. The revised policy that we are talking about is supposed to be talking about responsiveness, inclusiveness, sustainability, and youth-led innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not here just to speak. We are here to make and drive meaningful impact. I'm going to end there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. So this conversation comes at a time when we have all at least seen traders downtown crying foul, highlighting a number of concerns when it comes to the poor drainage system. But even then, the standard of drainage systems that are constructed or renovated or rehabilitated, are they up to the standard to hold on to the current situation? We've seen, yes, there was a drainage channel being constructed, but what happens down there? But even then, before you head there, we have places down in Katanga, we have places across Chireka, Boyogerere. When it rains, you don't want to cross Banda. Actually, it's not accessible. So it's very important. What has happened to the laws that are governing wetland encroachment? Who are the people encroaching wetlands? Yet the rules are clear, yet the laws are there. We have seen factories being erected. When you take Kawanda Road, you see factories in the wetlands. So what are we doing as citizens? It's my voice, it is your voice together. So today we are looking for a solution-based discussion. We are not here to point fingers.
My name is Derek Mugisha, and I've been leading the technical team that was able to review this old strategy, like we have said, the Kampala Climate Change Action Strategy 2016. Like we have highlighted, it was supposed to have expired in 5 years. Of course, by that time we had COVID-19 that might have distracted the implementation. But that does not stop the impact that we have seen in Kampala.
Yeah.
Kampala houses over 10 million people, okay? Most of these people have livelihoods that are centered here, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
And that you find that we have the vulnerable people in ghettos, like we love to call it. Muntu wa wansi. They are very much affected by this strategy. So this strategy was one of, the first thing was it was not well designed. If you look at the copy of the strategy itself, it did not have even a monitoring and evaluation framework on how they were going to track, okay, some of the activities that we were going to implement. The other thing that we did not have a costed strategy, okay? The activities that were planned in this strategy did not have a budget, honorable members. We had no budget. We didn't know how much we needed to implement this strategy, okay? The other thing about this strategy was that it did not align with global and national frameworks. We have what we call the nationally determined contributions, the NDC. This strategy, the moment it was designed in 2016, we had to go back, okay, and update this strategy to align with our national frameworks. Because whatever government does is always aligned to our national frameworks. Honorable Speaker, the other thing I want to address is there were some commitments that were promised or overly promised. For example, we were promised to have a light rail system, that as you're going to the park there, you'll just jump on a train and it takes you to the park. Some of these ideas have been planned up to today. They have not been implemented, okay? The other thing is they talked about increasing the coverage of our Kampala forest cover. Only and only I can say, Honorable Speaker, we have achieved like 10%. The other thing about this strategy, Honorable Members, okay, was that the youth were not consulted. And these young people are the now and future generation. If a strategy is designed without their input, that strategy does not belong to them, okay? And some of the recommendations that we have is this promise of the light rail system, okay, and the bus rapid transit system that you said that, okay, we shall have more buses than the border borders, of which now currently we have more border borders than even the people in the city. Okay, we have over 1 million border borders roaming around the city. The other one is, Honorable Speaker, when KCCA, every time we have engaged it in the different dialogues, they have always said, you see, even these places where we pick the West, we have narrow roads because we have informal settlements. It is very hard for KCCA to come and pick. How about they could expand on the roads that lead to these communities? The other one, and I'm sure other honorable speakers will also add on this, is the health challenge. Okay? The diesel and petrol border borders, they emit these greenhouse gas emissions. But of late we have seen an emergence of electric border borders. How about if Kampala Capital City Authority promotes the what? The use of electric border borders and also electric vehicles. There is something they also promised about car sharing arrangements, that if I stay in Nakawa, I don't need to own a car. How about I use a shared car? That was also another thing in this strategy on transport. Honorable Speaker, something else we also saw was on waste and water waste management. Okay, KCCA, I was just trying to get some statistics here, is able to collect 10% of the waste that we have in the community. So what happens to the 90% that remains? That is the waste that ends up in Nachivubo Channel, and Nachivubo Channel drives the waste to Lake Victoria. And Honorable Speaker, recently we saw our lake very contaminated, and fishermen were complaining that the fish cannot survive anymore. This is because the practices start from the community. A practice called segregation at source was never promoted. The only thing the capital does is to go and collect what we have given it to take. They did not educate people on sorting of what? Of waste. That I can put food wastes here, I can also put, let's say, pharmaceutical waste aside. So that when they come to pick, they do what? They take. We remember the Chitezi saga. You saw how we are not planned well. If we had an updated strategy, that issue wouldn't have happened, because we would have promoted waste to energy. That the waste that goes to Chitezi would not burn. It would be recycled and used for energy. And that energy can be consumed by locals. Okay? So I want to conclude by saying, Honorable Speaker, we have one major reference. Please, let's update this strategy. The other one, let it be inclusive. Let's have the voices of young people involved in updating of this plan. And the Network of Active Citizens has empowered the youth today to be able to advance these policies. Okay? Let us also align the new policy to national, regional, and international climate frameworks. Okay? Because Uganda is a party to the Paris Agreement, and we are also a signatory to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, meaning we have a duty. Let us all work together to build a Kampala that is climate resilient. I beg to submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. And with me here on file, I have the Kampala Climate Action Strategy, but I also have a summary. You know, it's usually good to know that this is public knowledge. These documents are always online. And if you're ignorant about anything, it means you have chosen to. Because as much as there are loopholes and challenges that KCCA has faced, it put out this strategy online. It's not a secret. They didn't hold it under the bag. So it's right there. You can always go in and read. But then there were only 3 key areas that I focused on and looked at. And I want to highlight this before we get into discussion, because it's very important to know. One of the things they were looking at was adapting the city to short and long-term climate impacts. However, right now, we have both long and short, because sometimes you see it's extremely hot or extremely cold, or the rains are extremely heavy, and this brings about damage. So we are already going through that process, but they had a plan. But today we shall understand what happened and how can we move forward. 2, they were charting a low emission development, and this was a path for sustainable urban growth. Currently, you see some electronic borders, they're rechargeable here and there, but still, how much have we done? But we've also seen during the trade order, another order has come up, and this is to take away all the old taxis away from the roads. Probably it's one of the things they're pushing to curb the emissions, but still, that is for you to decide. Then thirdly, they were looking at turning climate change challenges into opportunities for residents. Has this worked? Is this applicable? Did you residents feel that impact? Did it come to you? That's another question for you to discuss when you come to the floor of the August House. However, like I said, notably, this was a 5-year strategy, but it had loopholes. The loopholes were fine. It didn't have a motherboard. It didn't have a place to sit. There were financial challenges, financial gaps. Who was supposed to finance this? The youth were not engaged, and today the youth have a platform. Here on NTV People's Parliament, today the youth, you are here, and if you don't elaborate on these issues, it means you have been given the voice, but you have decided to keep your voice to yourself. Thank you so much for being part of the August House. At this particular moment, it's not like I'm looking at different protocols or I'm categorizing your own honorable members, but I would like to call on to Miss Winnie Mirembe, the Miss Climate Change Awareness for Central Uganda, to tell us why did you have to stand for this? What are those things that have pushed you to come into and stand for this particular race? Nice to have you here in the August House, because it's very important to hear the queen of climate change awareness speak to us. The people at home would want to know, why did you choose climate change awareness?
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mirembe Winnie, and I am the current Miss Climate Change Awareness, Central Uganda, where we're being hosted right now in Kampala. And one of the things that really pushed me to come for Miss Climate Change is that we understand that women are the most affected by the climate crisis, and the young people. But we have our voices, we have the solutions that we carry, and we need to put them into action. Even in the strategy, we desire to take action against this crisis. So I stood in to be a voice and advocate to ensure that there is a gap bridge. Because right now, when you look at the strategy, even our constitution, Article 245, that talks about environmental conservation and preservation, and objective number 3 talks about awareness creation. But right now, there's limited awareness creation in communities, whereby solutions cannot be developed for a problem that people do not understand. So it's my role to also create awareness so that individuals and communities in Kampala and Central Uganda understand the crisis, and as well they take action and collective action against the crisis. Thank you.
Honorable Member, it's also very important to highlight to us what are some of those actions you have taken as an individual when it comes to creating awareness, maybe to the youth, but also to the entire population of Uganda.
Thank you so much. Standing here, I'm a really passionate community advocate, and I've been nurtured and trained by the Network for Active Citizens. I founded a community-based organization called the Mbuyatu Community Development Network, and it's a community-based organization. So we've carried out community awareness caravans and campaigns about climate change, waste sorting and segregation, what can you do about it, communities, how can young people take action. We've also done empowerment and capacity building, whereby right now, Mr. Waswa Senyange, he's here supporting you, and he's part of the team. We have advocates that have come out strongly and boldly advocating online using their social media, Twitter storming, and they're sharing about the flooding effects and drought, how we are affected by the climate crisis. And as well, in the advocacy working group where we are right now, I am the chairperson of policy and governance. So those are some of the things I've been doing.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. And there you have it. A round of applause for the Honorable Member. Whatever you do starts with you, but then you realize that it spills over to the other communities. I would also like to invite the first runners-up, Miss Climate Change Awareness, Madam Namatovo Fancy. Please come and take the floor of the August House. We'd like to know what you're doing in your community to ensure that the voices, not only for Network for Active Citizens, not only for Dreamworld, not only for the other stakeholders are being pushed. What are we doing in your community, and why Miss Climate Change Awareness?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Namatovo Brenda Fancy, coming and growing up in Kampala as a highly populated right now with foreigners. I myself taking up an action that I think it's a climate smart agriculture practice, that is snail farming. I thought of it because right now the Asians, the Nigerians, the Europeans that are in the country are really embracing snails as food, and so I'm looking up to fighting the food insecurity that other people are not looking at, and I'm addressing the lack of alternative economic value and livelihood opportunities, because snails are now looked into every garden as a pet, but to me I look into it as a protein, because they are rich in protein, rich in magnesium, iron. All of you people, I know you're now like...
Honorable members, we're here to learn, yes? So before she's also going to tell us how yummy, but okay.
Yeah, so it's one of the climate smart agriculture I sat down and thought about. I got the motivation when I went for the agriculture show that is in Jinja last year. People embrace these things because that's where we get knowledge, and I was inspired by how WEPO does it. I was like, I'm also taking this thing at Kampala, where I come from. And this thing is, I'm looking at bringing a foreign exchange in our country, because those people, of course, they don't buy in shillings, and actually a plate is 80,000 ready. So I'm looking into employment opportunities, because many youth are saying they don't have money. We are really begging those people of English, everyone you embrace from those countries, they think about us as beggars. But embracing climate change while doing something about the poverty, because also the sustainable development goals have a number. That is number 1, number 2, number 1, no poverty, right? So as we're looking into the climate change actions that we have to embrace, also climate smart agriculture should be part of it. And I'm looking not only at the snail waste, it's an organic fertilizer, and this I've used it myself in my own small garden at home, and I'm not using any chemical fertilizer. I'm actually addressing now the issue of the chemicals that have kept on destroying our soils, the soil fertility, and now this is also a solution towards this as an organic fertilizer, the waste. And also the slime that comes out from the snails is used for cosmetics production. So actually, guys, just look at my skin. When you get an opportunity, just come and touch on me. I've already embraced this, and I'm seeing how smooth my skin is, because I get an opportunity to clean these friends of mine, and so the lime is really doing my hands smoothie. I don't use expensive products, but the slime itself is something that I'm going to call on to all youth. If you want to really learn how I'm doing it, these people don't feed on a lot of things. They just feed on the leftovers of watermelon. After you eating the watermelon, the left is what I give them. And as well, the vegetables, they just love such an environment when it's not too shiny, just cloudy. So when you study all that, we are really doing something as an alternative, because they are zero emitters. They have zero emission, like zero methane, unlike livestock. So I'm addressing a lot of things at once. So setting up snail youth hubs, it will really be something. I'll be an impact to my community. I've already been doing it. That's why I'm able to share this knowledge. So I welcome you all youth. Stand up, be innovators. Do not sit on yourself. Raise up that voice. I'm really not yet there, but I will be there, because I believe in myself.
You're there.
Thank you.
You're there because we're all looking at you like we want some snail serum to smear. Don't you want soft fingers? Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Member. Round of applause for the Honorable Member. And those who want to learn snail farming, there you are. And lastly, I'm going to call Honorable Cheruto Edith, the second runners-up, to also come and tell us why climate change awareness and what are we doing in your community to make sure that we are pushing this together and we can have a sustainable and resilient Kampala.
My name is Edith Cheruto. I'm the second runners-up queen for Central Region, and I champion women empowerment through eco-friendly, reusable sanitary pads. We were able to find out that a lot of challenges we face in the climate change is, especially for Kampala, is flooding. And we find out that this flooding is caused by cloggage of the drainage systems, and mostly it's caused by plastic waste, among them single-use disposable sanitary pads. Globally, 450 billion sanitary pads, single-use disposable sanitary pads, are disposed of annually across the globe. This is a very big volume of sanitary pads, and I was able to come up with a solution that is both eco-friendly, able to end both period poverty and period plastic waste. And that's why I was able to come up with Maki reusable sanitary pads. Our team is working in Kamocha. We have trained women on how to make sanitary pads and how to embrace eco-friendly menstrual care. Our team is also working on coming up with sanitary pads that can be able to decompose in a period of 6 months. These sanitary pads are made out of banana stems, and there will be a very big change in championing climate change. I'm here to inspire women and include women in
I
to
see
ensure that
whispers. You're wondering what you're doing, eh? Don't worry, you're going to come here and tell us what you're doing.
we are here to ensure that women are not left behind in championing climate change, and I think that's where I end. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Honorable Member. And to all those that were whispering to each other, now you're thinking, what have I been doing to ensure that together, before I hammer any other stakeholder, what am I doing individually to ensure that we have a resilient Kampala? And delve deeper, earlier on, we had a Honorable Member expressing some issues, and he pointed out at least 5 critical thematic areas that we are going to be able to discuss. And this will be exactly when we return. For those that are watching from home, this is NTV People's Parliament, and we are in Chisasi in partnership with Network for Active Citizens. And we are discussing matters climate change awareness. What are you doing to save your country? But remember, the interconnectedness of this world, we are all interconnected. What we do here affects the other country. We are connected as the entire globe. So what are you doing to save the next generation of people? Thank you for watching. NTV People's Parliament takes a very short break. When we return, we delve back into the conversation. Stay tuned. A climate resilient Kampala is what we are talking about today. Welcome back from that break. You're watching NTV People's Parliament, and we are coming to you from the head offices of Network for Active Citizens here in Chisasi. Before we went for that break, we're talking about the 5 thematic areas that we are going to discuss today as members of the August House. And these range from energy and sustainable transport. We talk about land use and green infrastructure. We talk about waste management and water resources. We're also looking at community resilience, as well as climate finance, governance, and policy coherence. Now, this comes at a time when we need this conversation. Why do we need the conversation? We had the Chitezi landfill collapse, but then we have now currently the waste taken to Buyala landfill. However, there are also complaints from the people surrounding Buyala about the stench. But then there were promises on creating a recycling program so that we can have the waste that is produced from Kampala and the nearby districts being recycled. This crosses even through Wakiso. But then what have we done about it? But the young people have ideas, so many. You've had some are into what you would call extraordinary projects, making sure that we have a resilient climate change Kampala. But however, let's get into the conversation as I open this door to the August House. I would like to understand the honorable members that are in this house. What have been your observations for the past years? What have you observed and you feel like probably if this was done, this wouldn't have gone south? This wouldn't have gone east. As a youth leader in your community, as a youth, maybe you're not a leader, what do you think can be done better by the different stakeholders? Because this is a system. We have systems. We can't do this as individuals. What are you also doing in your community? Are you tree planting? Do you give out tree seedlings? What are you doing in your community? So at this particular moment, I would like to open up this conversation to the August House to hear what the youth are doing and what they think should be done better to ensure that we save the environment and we save this environment for the next generation. Thank you so much for being part of the August House. I am ready to take your submissions, honorable members. Please come and take to the floor of the August House.
My name is Alfred Okumu. I work with Christian Youth Missionary Group Chinawataka as the head of programs. Before you, Madam Speaker, I have issues to address before you. First and foremost is to inform you that the air quality in Kampala, 40 cubic meters here in Kampala, is that majority of us, we take in oxygen or we take in gas which is not purified. And secondly, is that the absence of mass transport system, the 14-seater taxis and the border have caused a lot of accident, and many of the young people are having disability because of this. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, to inform you about the different intervention which have been done by KCCA and the government itself. In terms of percentage, the intervention of so far things which are all projects which have been completed, they are 22%. The partially implemented projects in Kampala are in 19%. And those which are totally not done but planned for in the strategic plan which you were informed earlier at 59%. And let me start by elaborating some of the key projects which are not implemented. One is the conversion of street light to solar light. This is one of the projects which you can see it around Kampala, that wherever you move around the roads, you see the solar light system. This is one of the successful projects which has been done. The promotion of alternative cooking fuel, the charcoal briquettes, and the biogas. This is a system which has been adopted. The survey on charcoal and firewood. If you move around Kampala, it's very hard to find people cooking using firewood. People are now using other alternatives. The parking policy has been fully implemented. And recently you can move around Kampala and enjoy your city and you feel like I'm in Kampala. But previously, the city was really congested. And if you carry anything in your bag, you find someone has taken it. The pilot replication in schools and market, the use of eco stove has been fully implemented. Madam Speaker, the number of projects which have been partially implemented, like the waste to energy projects has been partially implemented, started but not scaled, like the Chitezi landfill gas, captured, was planned but not fully operational before the landfill collapsed in 2024. Madam Speaker and the honorable members here, the promotion of hybrid electric vehicles has not fully taken over. We can see a few of the electric vehicles and electric motorbike, but you find that there are few charging spots. You move around where these borders charge from, you find very many of them are being idle. I beg for some few minutes as I give you the recommendation that I pray KCCA and other stakeholders can intervene in. I beg KCC and I pray for them to create a KCCA Department of Energy and Transport and for climate and dedicate this institution home for this agenda. Develop a costed phrase electric mobility strategy for Kampala. As I said, the number of electric motorbike in Kampala, they lack where they can charge from. I also pray that KCC to formally integrate the BRT into KCC's climate strategy as one of the ways of minimizing. Then establish a minimum green transport corridor standards. At least in Kampala, there are spaces, especially along Namirembe Road, where people are using bicycle than any other mean. It's a one-way system. And if you can have more in Kampala, it will be better. Madam Speaker, allow me to stop there. With time, I will bring in my other issues. Thank you.
We are having a solution-focused discussion, and it's very important. As much as he highlighted challenges, he also came up with what he thinks should be done. The conversation of pointing fingers of who has failed and who hasn't failed, who has worked, they're long overgone. We can't keep accusing each other because at some time back, you were among the children, but now you also say we look for the next generation. So before you know it, we shall be fossils as well. So it's very, very important that we stop the accusations, come and address an issue and tell us what do you think should be done. Probably as they update and dust the old strategy, what can be added from the youth voices? Please, honorable members.
My name is Honorable Bale Drake Thomas, and I'm representing Kawempe Division. Yes, and what I'm going to dive deep into is the matter of waste management in Kampala. We can talk this and that, but truth is when we go down in Kawempe, Mperere, Kanyanya, Katanga, Bwaise, mention it, the issue always comes from waste. The degree of poor waste management by both the community members, but also with some of the failures by the authorities needs to be addressed as early as we can. I would appreciate KCCA for having the strategy out. We should recommend them for that. However, let's look at the commitments that they made. Honorable Speaker, if you allow me, let me read through just a few of the commitments that were made in this strategy. Some of the commitments that I would point out was the training on the 3 R's. Yes, we would recommend them that through the different campaigns, let's look at Weyonje. That was very, that we experienced last year during, before the KCCA festival. Yes, there are a series of campaigns around Kampala, in Kawempe and Nakawa, which I myself took part in. Yes, that was a very good sign that there are some actions that are being taken. But question is, why are we still facing the same challenges? Where I come from in Mpedere, there is a whole pile of garbage. And this is a town. Question is, where is the challenge? Where does all this come from?
How can citizens be involved,
yes,
to better manage the waste management
yes,
collection?
exactly, exactly. So I would say there is a very, just a moment, please.
Because this garbage comes from us.
Yes.
We are the ones that dispose it off poorly, by the way. So it's very, very important to also understand how we can participate in ensuring that the waste collection process becomes easy. Yes, Honorable Member.
Okay.
I was buying some time for us as we...
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I would say when we reached out to some of our leaders, one of the challenges they cited out was the impassable roads that lead to our communities, that is failing them to collect waste from the communities. However, as a city, that shouldn't be an excuse. That shouldn't be an excuse. As a city that is growing per se, should have a master plan for ways of maintaining waste. Maybe how best can we turn this waste into an opportunity, maybe for our young people. We've heard of young people who are called Kawenjas. Okay, these young people are doing a great job. They are collecting plastic bottles. How about if we empower them? How about if we support their initiatives? I think that would be very good. We need to, when it comes to enforcement, let's look at enforcement. KCCA is given the powers to manage this city. By using their own powers, they can work with the different institutions that are around. We have NEMAPAS, for example. How about if they work together to ensure that they reach these places, okay? They reach these places. If the roads are impassable, if you go down your master plan and maybe you've designed roads that let's improve these roads, that would make it easy for the waste collectors to reach these hard to reach places. And we would let's recommend KCCA for the trainings and awareness. But how about we are raising a generation? How about if we work very hard to actually integrate waste management into the curriculum? We start teaching these young ones, we're once young people, and they're telling us we are the future leaders, and here we are. So how about if we start right now? It isn't about the projections. Let's start right now with these young people. Integrate the waste management action into the curriculum. How can they turn this into opportunities? I believe with that, our communities will be better places to be. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. The new competence-based curriculum is getting richer. For those that finish school, you're good to go. For those that are still in school, we are adding waste management and recycling. Thank you so much, Honorable Member. The beautiful women of this city, please, Honorable Member, come. The beautiful women are still thinking about it. Hey, okay, there she is. And all the women are going to clap for her. A big round of applause as she comes, because she is leading the group that is bringing women. Please, Honorable Member. They are going to make you a bit more comfortable. There. But before they make him very comfortable, there are some of the things that I want you to sit there and reflect before you come here. And these are some of the questions that I've been asking myself. That what strategies should be at least prioritized? We have a strategy, yes, that is outdated. But what are some of the strategies probably you've had or read about from the different countries that you think we can adapt as the country? Honorable Member, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for being part of this conversation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Time check, it's exactly 7 years ever since KCCA updated the 2019 climate change strategy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to stand on this floor of this parliament and to present matters of great importance. Madam Speaker, I'm going to speak about climate finance, governance, and policy. Only 20% of council recommendations on the budget are currently implemented, which shows severe governance gaps. Madam Speaker, as I've noted, we are seeing only 20% of the council recommendations on budget issues reflecting on the decision that are finally made. Madam Speaker, this is a big issue and it is showing big policy gaps. What is the cause, Madam Speaker? Before I highlight all the issues, allow me first commend KCCA for the 25% done of the projects that they've done, which includes green business dialogues. They've implemented this. I commend them for the urban resilience strategy, Madam Speaker. But however, 14% is partially done amongst the promises made in the strategy. And here, they've allocated funds for climate smart projects, and that's partially, Madam Speaker, done. They've also established a green economy policy, Madam Speaker. But to my disappointment, Madam Speaker, 61% is not done totally according to the promises given in the strategy. And here we are seeing they had promised to have an integrated urban mobility plan. Madam Speaker, to date it's still lacking. And they had, Madam Speaker, to deliver the landscape policy. And to date, 2026, we're not seeing this, Madam Speaker, in place. Madam Speaker, I beg to submit. Thank you so much.
Member, for that submission. And like we earlier said, those that are watching from home, we are seated under a very beautiful green space here at Network for Active Citizens and in support with Dreamworld, in partnership with NTV Uganda. We are talking matters climate change awareness. But the space is actually very beautiful. We shall be bringing it to you in your sitting room so that you can embrace some of this. Honorable Member, please come and take the floor of the August House. The ladies, you've also added some volume. As you stand there, you're a hero to the ladies in the crowd. Good evening, Honorable Member. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation.
Good evening. Good evening, Honorable Speaker, our distinguished guests, and the members of the advocacy group. This is Nanyonjo Kate, and I stand here before you as a Ugandan and a resident of Kampala, and a member of this generation that will inherit the decisions made in this city. I open my submission with the words of the American inventor, Thomas Edison: "Vision without execution is hallucination." Kampala is a city of grand visions, and we all agree on paper, it looks like a city on the cusp of transformation. Why am I saying this? But today I'm not here to celebrate paper. I'm here to examine the ground specifically. I am here to examine the AFOLI sector, which is agriculture, forestry, and other land use. According to the former Kampala Climate Action Plan, only 28% was fully done and implemented. 24% was partially done. 48%, which is the largest percentage, was not done at all. We want to commend the government for it was able to do the tree planting, and it would be very untrue for me to say KCCA has done nothing. It has done the tree planting campaign. We've all seen the Green Go campaigns in Kampala. We have witnessed the wetland conservation and protection. We have done the drainage channel construction and widening. This is evidenced moreover in Nakawa division, Kawempe division. We've all seen this. Integration of climate change into the environmental impact assessment processes. We have also seen the urban agriculture. The Chanja Resource Center is one of them here. We've all visited them, most of the youth here in this place. What has not been done, for example, the landscape policy. This was not done at all. The green tourism policy. It was highlighted in the former policy, but it was not done at all. When you talk about the smart permit system, it was also not done. My colleague earlier talked about the eco-business parks. These were just highlighted. They have not yet been done. However, as the young people of Chisasi, we call upon the government to pass a Kampala given infrastructure ordinance by 2026. We ask them to gazette at least 5 urban climate parks with 1 park per division. That is to say, we can have one in Machinje, we can have one in Nakawa, we can have in Kawempe division. So we also ask them to enact and enforce the Kampala wetland encroachment moratorium. That is like an ordinance. There is already one for the whole of Uganda, but there is no one for specifically Kampala. There is need to align the Kampala development plan with the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan. And we also ask the government to continue and fully operationalize the smart permit system, which was declared earlier and was not fully implemented. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member, for that submission. Also, I would like to not pose a question, but also bring this to our notice that in so many countries, there are always alerts on preparedness and alerts on any forms of maybe climate action, maybe storms. So I'd like to know, there's a strategy look at any of these, and do we have any of these? Because we have seen so many victims, landslide victims when it comes. Now this is across, not in Kampala. We shall not pin KCCA for every district. But anyway, honourable members, please.
I'm Pio Edwin. I'm from Impact Nexus for Action and Development. That's INAD. Then I represent the youth who are here and those who are watching us outside there. After every storm, there's always a calm. Now, on policy, we talked about things like KCCA doesn't include youth. There's no M&E framework. After listening critically and analyzing what my other earlier members said, and I came up with the recommendation that can KCCA help us and include a council for Kampala youth, like KCCA, that for Kampala youth that represent the youth at the city hall. And then this we came up with the strategy that these 5 members come up from the 5 divisions of Kampala, and they have a mandate to represent the youth, take part in the budget planning to include the youth and climate, and then take part in the making of the annual report, so that there's contribution from the youth and other non-represented members of the 10 community. And then the other thing is, when we are looking at what KCCA has done, we actually found nothing. And one thing we can say is there's no M&E framework. Can KCCA put that in place? That at the end of it, there's a report, there's an M&E framework, there are indicators. There are people to be held accountable for whatever thing is being done and whatever thing has not been done. Madam Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you for watching NTV People's Parliament. We are in Chisasi at the head offices of Network for Active Citizens, and we're discussing matters climate change awareness. What are you doing as a citizen of this country to ensure that we have a climate resilient country, not only Kampala? We shall be in Chisasi again yet next week to hear some of the submissions, what can be done, but also we shall have members from KCCA to tell us about the strategy. What did they do? What challenges did they face? What are they planning? After the expiry of the last action plan, what are they planning to move forward? This is NTV Uganda.